What's up, everybody? Today I'm going to be doing some sound design. Um, I was watching like a lot of tutorials of people doing like sound compression basses, which is really popular right now. And I was trying to think of a way that I could kind of do my own thing with it and maybe add some more organic texture to it. And at some point, it occurred to me to use the top end from like a tempura, which is like a sitar-like instrument, which I have available to me in the Native Instruments Contact Endia pack, and use that as kind of like the top end of a bass growl, which um, we won't really be able to recognize when we're done with it, but I feel like it can really give us a cool texture. So it has like a lot of like moving kind of resonant parts, which I really like. So let's see what we can do with that. First, I'm going to just render one note of it to audio. Alright, so when I've done this before I did it, I would put an EQ on it and cut the lows out, but let's see what happens if I don't do that this time, because I never actually tried. We might have to go back and do it with the EQ if it doesn't end up sounding good, but I think it's worth a try. So what I'm going to use for the bottom layer is Retro Machine Sub Bass 2, which is always my go-to sub. It's basically just a saturated sine wave. Anything with a saturated sine wave will do. And honestly, with this whole tutorial, don't just be like, oh, I don't have these specific things that he's using, so I can't make this specific noise. I feel like it should be more just an inspiration to you to think outside the box, try different things, try putting all sorts of different things together, distorting them together, see what comes out, work with what you got. Don't just be like, oh, I have to make this exact same noise, because that never works out. So I'm going to make sure to use the same note of, I used a C for the tempura, so we're going to use a C for this too. So I'll make it like this long for now. Okay, so both these are at 0, so I can bounce them together into the same noise. So I'm going to do that. Now we have this. Okay, I've been liking to use fat effects to really beef things up and distort them. It used to be camel fat. Apple bought it. Now it's in Logic, but I think you can still find camel fat online. They don't sell it anymore, but you could probably find somewhere to download it if you look. And I think it sounds pretty much the same as Fat Effects. It doesn't look the same, but it's got the same main components. So let's see what we can do. So I don't think I want to go that intense in this first step. We can also change the kinds of distortion. That could be cool too, but I'm gonna go a little lower. So we're gonna do more of that. I'm gonna maybe add some like moving filters in here and see how that sounds. And then let's compress it a little bit. Add another fat effects, some more distortion. Oh wait, automation was still on. Kind of sounds like the filter automation isn't that smooth, so I'm just gonna draw it in. So that sounds pretty cool. It's a little heavier than I think I want it to be. I'll tone down the distortion on the first one. And also, like, so in my sound design sessions, I like to get these and then I'll bounce them into a folder that I have. And when I use it in a song, I'll maybe just chop only a little section. Like, maybe I'll just take this little bit. Or, like, you know, just that little piece, even like that short, and fit it into a song somewhere. So this one is sounding all right. I'm gonna take off this fat effects, see if we can use a different distortion, get some cool other textures out of it, possibly. Gonna use the UAD raw. I think yeah. Pretty cool. I definitely need like to be touched up with an EQ. A lot of times too, I'll just get like a basic noise, and then once I actually get it in the song, you know, I'll EQ it, compress it, make it fit in the context of whatever I'm using it in. And then almost always on these noises, like in my other tutorial I talked about in the general mix talk, taking the sub out of, you know, any bass growl sort of things you have and then adding it back in. So we can just show what that would sound like really quick. And just, we can unmute that. So then it ends up having cleaner sub, which once you get stuff so distorted, it kind of like takes away from the sub, I feel, a little bit, usually. So that's a cool little noise. Usually with this sort of thing, I would go through and, you know, next I'd go do a D or something, bounce everything out at D, and then when I save these, like, I'll, you know, like, take just this. I would take this EQ off of it so I can fit it to whatever. Bounce. I have a little folder, organic grit sound design. I would say tempera, top, grit, C. So I'll label it with whatever note it is. So then I know what note when I'm back in whatever track to use, and I'll do like F, C, D, common keys that I write with, or notes that fit into those keys. Alright, so let's try to do something different now. We'll still take this C. Here's something I haven't tried yet, but I've been thinking about trying. Let's open up sculpture. So the first tutorial I ever posted was this noise. So I think let's see what happens when we layer that in. Okay. This might not sound good at all, but that's kind of what sound design's all about. It's just about trying new things, trying stuff until something works. I'm just have been trying to get cool textures on my bass without doing like too much. Alright. Let's bounce these together. Put fat effects on. The clicks are kind of a lot, but let's see if we can just compress them down. I don't know if I like that, but it is kind of cool. Not too sure on this one. Let's go back a bit. Let's go back way farther. Alright. Let's see what happens if we make this quieter. I'm doing it on the gain instead of the knob because if I bounce together, it bounces things at full volume anyways. Let's see if we make it more subtle, if that helps. Clicks sound really nice to me, but I think I would maybe have trouble finding a way to use them in the context of a song. Let's do some crazy filter stuff and see if we like it more. Let's add another one in. bit of movement. Still not too big on the little clickies. Think I'm gonna abandon this one. Maybe we can try one more. Let's see how that works. Maybe we can try some filter automation on this one. Could be cool in like an intro or something, just a big swell with all the little clickies. Alright, I'm giving up on the sculpture layer. Let's go back to the sitar layer. This time I am going to put that EQ on it. So just get the top end. Gotta make sure the notes match. And we'll maybe turn it down a little bit. And also let's try putting a tremolo on it. So this is a Ubic plugin. They make great plugins, but basically it's a tremolo, so it's gonna kind of make it do that, you know. So I like that. I think that's gonna give us a pretty cool texture on the top of this. Let's check it out. do some moving filters on this one too. Oops. So I'm not really getting as much as the top in as I want. So let's try to bounce it again, but this time louder. That's just wild. Another thing I like to do is add a white noise layer to the top. Let's copy this, put it down here. We're going to use texture by Devious Machines, and I'm going to do only the white noise on this one. I don't know what's going on. Oh, it's because it's an instrument track. Oops. There we go. Take the sub bass out. Put a tremolo on this one too. Turn it down a bit. That's kind of cool. Yeah, doing the tremolo on a white noise layer on top of it is a cool way to get sound design. In my tracks, Tapeworms and Dog Milk, I did a lot of that. I made pretty much all the sound design in that song from scratch, and very like fluttery, um, with the tremolo on a white noise layer over a really distorted sine. This sub just really distorted. Um, we can kind of listen to some of them. Yeah, so if you automate the tremolo too, you can get those cool little articulations. Turn it up a bit. Yeah. So with the white noise and tremolo automated, I got a bunch of cool stuff. That one was pitch bending up a bit. Alright, so I'll try to just break down how I made these now. We're going to take our contact retro machines patch. And we're going to do an F this time. So here we are. There's an F, or there's an F. And this time let's put a little pitch bend. So just go up at the end. Yeah, that's cool. So let's first bounce this out. Then let's fatten it up a little bit. Let's see what kind of tone I had in these. The EQ before the distortion. And then let's get some white noise on there. Or I'll just put some white noise. Just have a file of some white noise here. Okay. So we're going to turn it down a little bit. And we're going to EQ the sub out. And we're going to put the tremolo on it. And we're basically just going to record some automation of it. We could have done a cooler pitch bend there too, but I'm trying to just kind of work fast and go through this process. I'm going to wait to put distortion on it. Alright, let's try to bounce these together and then fatten them up. I'm going to use Saturn first. It's another FabFilter plugin. put fat effects on. I like to take the bass enhancer off, it kind of makes it weird. So these don't sound like the old noises I made, but this is definitely somewhat of the process I used to make it. Kind of shape it a little bit in here. I don't know how I got it so punchy there. It was probably whatever specific distortion I used. I could just put a transient shaper on it, probably give it that punch. Let's see, I've got a good one from Plugin Alliance, SPL Transient Designer. So now it has that, but we'll compress it down a little bit because that's a little much. But I like to have that punch at the beginning, it makes it almost percussive. And just put the attack all the way down. So the other one we just kind of, I can't remember which distortion I used, but it turned out a little bit thicker. I can also probably just try to EQ this one into what I want. Can try different kinds of these. Yeah, it's not quite as nice as the old ones I made. I remember I kept it really simple with those. Let's see if I can dig up the project those are from. It's probably in here somewhere. This might have been the project. I saw Emperor play Infrasound and was super inspired by his set. Really great D&B, check him out if you're not familiar. But I was trying to make sound design inspired by him. I think those little flappy things were not as much. Also, though, I'm thinking that the project might be a little older than this one. Let's see. So I was making more like bend things in this one. Still cool, but not the one I'm looking for. Yeah, sorry that this isn't the most organized, but I wanted to just kind of bring you guys through the whole process of, didn't really have any plans going into this, just kind of wanted to show you guys the process of just making sounds, and it can be tedious and boring at times, but every once in a while you stumble upon something cool, and really it's just all about trying things, thinking about outside the box, working with what you got. Just, you never know what's going to happen until you try it, so you might as well try it, you know? Just twist all the knobs, do whatever you can. Whoa. Let's see. Huh. Some serum noises that I made in this one. I'm not the most organized of producers, if you can't tell. But there, you know, everything always shows up when I need it. Oops. Okay, I think we actually found it this time. Or I would think so. This was the predecessor, I think, to me figuring that other noise out. So this is some cool stuff. Basically on this one, I think what I did was, so I started with white noise with just a huge sub pitch bend. I'm sure if we open this up, we can see, maybe I didn't do it on that track, but it's just that sub preset with white noise with a huge pitch bend on it, and then you can see this EQ is moving around, adding a lot of movement, and then compressed heavily with this Shadow Hills compressor. Volcano I probably didn't actually go with. BX saturator, thickening it up. Teletronics compressing it ridiculously. So it's starting to get a little gritty now. I'm remembering now the Teletronics is probably how I got those punchy beginnings. Yeah. And then another EQ. Another compressor. It's too contained now. EQ, manly EQ with everything boosted. Why not? Another saturator. Why not? Okay, now it's starting to sound, I don't know about that. Nova. Might have to go back a few steps. Okay. And then a limiter to top everything off to control it ridiculously. I think that sounds pretty cool. And honestly, I probably bounced it out at a bunch of different stages with different amounts of these plugins on. But yeah, you can get a lot from just having like a sine wave or this little saturated sub, throw a little bit of white noise in there, and then just move those EQ bands around like crazy and just compress, distort, compress, distort, compress, distort over and over again, and you'll have a bunch of movement, and then you can just cut out little sections of this to throw in your track. Sorry. I'm using the Soundflower app to route my audio, and it's really buggy. I need to find a new solution for that. But yeah, I think that's all I'm going to cover in this video. We can listen to this noise all the way through one time. That'd be a cool little one to use. Just I think it kind of sounded better like back here, but maybe with the highs still down. But yeah, all about just experimenting, trying new things. You can get some cool gritty stuff with these techniques. Some other time I'll do more like clean sound design tutorial, you know, the classic psychedelic squelchy sounds. But for now, I think this is a solid sound design video for these techniques. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. Peace.